Hey guys, Luke here, and it's that time of the year. It's time for State of Origin. This time, a little bit different time of the year. I said this time of the year. I suppose it's not really the normal time of the year, but nonetheless, State of Origin 2020 is here. Wasn't sure it was going to be a thing early in the season when the NRL season got cancelled. I was sort of thinking, how's Origin going to work? Now, this is the first time it's been after the NRL season, and it does feel very, very strange. I've got to be straight up with you. It's just not as exciting. I don't really read the papers too much these days, but I imagine the excitement levels aren't really that great. I can tell by the views that the Origin isn't really that anticipated at the moment. Even just general talk. Like I work in a boulder shop and there's no talk of State of Origin in comparison to previous years. There's not a lot of talk about it. However, today is the day, so I expect everyone to sort of get keen for it. I think just because it's been so far in the distance, rather like in previous years, all we've done is talk about it right from round one, where this time it was just focus on the NRL, and then the Origin's kind of an afterthought. And also, I think it is a kind of a combination of that, as well as the teams that have been put out. Now, I'm going to go over the teams for Game 1. I'm not sure if this is like an official lineup. This is what has been named. But there's been some talk that Branko Lee's been injured. I think Kurt Capewell or someone's been injured. Xavier Coe. There's been a few injuries in the Queensland camp. I haven't really heard any about the New South Wales team. But I'll just go through the 1 to 17. I've just got it on the screen. Bear with me if I look down. I'm just reading. So for Queensland, we have Brimson, we have Coates and Semi on the wings. In the centres, we have Branko Lee and Dane Gagai. The halves, Cameron Munster and Daly Cherry Evans. Props, I think they really pick himself. Christian Welch and Josh Papali. Then you have Jake Friend at hooker. Your back row is Kafusi, Hess, and Big Tino from the Storm / Gold Coast Titans next season. Great pickup for them. Then the bench is Ben Hunt, Lindsay Collins, Jai Arrow, and Jaden Sewer. They do have Kurt Capewell, Forder Waker, Denama Sluey, and Heimel Hunt on the bench. Or the extended bench, I should say. There's a little bit of talk, like I said, that Branko Lee injured his calf. I think there was someone else who got hurt. But yeah, Heimel Hunt could be in line to make his Origin debut. But well, either way, it's a pretty weird sort of lineup. But we'll go into the New South Wales side. James Tedesco at fullback, as he always is. Daniel Tupou, Addo Carr on the wing, strong wing pairing there. Then we have Gutherson and Whiten in the centres. The halves are Luke Keary making his debut, partnering Nathan Cleary. The props are Daniel Safidi and Junior Paulo with Damien Cook, the hooker, once again, like he always is. Then we have Boyd Cordner and Tyson Frizzell, Jake Trbojevic at lock, which is pretty standard back row for New South Wales these days. Then you got the bench of Cody Walker, Payne Haas, Cameron Murray and Angus Crichton with an extended bench of McInnes, Campbell Gillard, Nathan Brown and Zach Lomax. Now, just looking at the New South Wales side, there's not a heap of changes that would happen if it was played at a normal time. Maybe you wouldn't have seen a Gutherson because they might have just been question marks over him, but with the season he's had, I suppose you can take into account form, which is the beauty of this. You can look at the players' overall performance throughout the season. Probably Cody Walker's another one. How if it had been played at a normal time, probably wouldn't have got a look in. But the rest of the side is pretty standard. The only one I can really look at is maybe like a Junior Paulo. Even Daniel Safidi, he was only really in the side last year due to Clemmer's suspension injury. I can't remember exactly what it was. But he came in and did a fantastic job. Really led from the front and helped New South Wales secure that victory in Game 3. And he'll be looking to do the same in this opening game. What I'm most excited for in this game, and I'll be real with you, I think this is maybe the only sort of matchup, I guess, is the halves matchup. I feel like the rest of the side is a bit of a mismatch, but the halves, I'm really looking forward to the halves. We have Cherry Evans and Munster up against Cleary and Keary. Now the Cleary-Keary combination, I think, is one that we've kind of wanted to see for a couple of years, but it's always been Keary being injured, concussions and all that sort of stuff, which is honestly a little bit of a worry for me going into this game, the concussions, with how physical Origin is. But look, I'm really interested to see what they can do. We've seen Keary able to jump into the biggest stage, grand finals, and just take over a game single-handedly. He did it for the Roosters. He's done it a couple of times now. He's come up with big plays. So he seems like one of those big play guys. The only problem is in the last couple of years, I feel like New South Wales have always had that debate. Well, not the debate, but we didn't want to accept Luke Keary as being the best 5'8", just purely because of his allegiances to Queensland and his sort of open about how much he wanted to actually play for Queensland, didn't want to play for New South Wales. So I remember seeing it years and years ago and thinking, yeah, right, like, who even cares? You're not going to play Origin. But obviously, he's really kicked on then. and he's in the Origin arena. So yeah, you've got Luke Keary making his debut. I think he'll be fine. Nathan Cleary, much improved compared to previous years, and this is his third season in Origin, so it shows you how long Nathan Cleary's been around despite his age. Then you have Tedesco at the back, and Damien Cook. I feel like the spine battle is quite good in general. So you got Brimson for Queensland making his debut, but we know how exciting he can be, especially if there's a bit of open space. There tends to not really be too much open space in Origin, but with all the new rule changes and the 6 agains and all that sort of stuff, there might be a bit of space for him to run amok there. But that you've got Munster, you've got Cherry Evans. We know they can perform in the Origin arena. And then you've got Jake Friend making his debut. The only thing for me with Jake Friend, I feel like if he debuted years and years ago, it probably would have been a great selection. Now he's making his debut in his 30s. I think he might be one of the oldest debutants. I forget. They've been tossing around some stats. Not that he's not a bad player or anything, but I feel like Ben Hunt has actually done a really good job in the hook position when he's played there. So the fact that Ben Hunt, he's coming off the bench, and I understand his role is coming off the bench. He's a great utility. You can sort of chuck him on any of the hard positions and hooker, and he can do a job. So if Munster or someone goes down, which he apparently was playing with a bit of an injury end of this season, I should say, for the Storm, despite playing, he was still injured. Ben Hunt can jump in there and he can go into 5'8", or he can play hooker. Depends on where you need him. But for me, it's just a strange one because I thought Ben Hunt actually has played quite well for hooker, and I feel like his performances at the Dragons and maybe the Broncos on the big stages doesn't necessarily reflect him in Origin. I thought he's been quite good in Origin. But I mean, he's a strong person to bring off the bench, and I feel like the bench for Queensland might even be stronger than their starting players. Like Cohen Hess playing, I honestly, I don't really understand that. Cohen Hess has been good in the past. Look, he's played Origin. He's one of the few guys in this side who has a little bit of experience in Origin. Obviously, Kaufusi, the other second row, has a lot of experience. A bit of a shoo-in at this point for probably for Queensland and Australia, I will say. But in a side that just, I don't know, it just strange to me. Cohen Hess, I feel like, could barely make that the North Queensland side, let alone the actual Queensland side. And look, it's not like Cowboys had an abundance of back rowers. They were playing guys like Shane Wright and a couple of those guys. But Cohen Hess is just someone, he could come out and he could have a really, really good game, or he could be exposed big time. Same goes for Bronco Lee. Did just win a premiership with the Storm, but definitely has some big flaws in his game still. Much improved from previous years, but he's not exactly someone you'd be looking at and saying, yes, Origin caliber. And we saw guys like Moses Zembai last year. I think he's probably a better centre overall, and we saw him sort of get exposed in Origin. So we have seen better players get exposed. So it is dangerous, especially considering he could be up against Jack White, and I'm not sure which edge they're going to be playing on. But whether it's Jack White or Gutherson, you've got the Fox around, you've got Daniel Tupou. I think it's going to be a long night for the Queensland backs, especially when you look at Dan Gagai, who definitely has not played his best football in the centres for Queensland. He's a much stronger winger. He is very capable of playing centre. Look, he's not going to look out of place playing centre, that's for sure, but he's definitely a better winger. But just the fact that they've got Philip Sammy making his debut, look, he's a great player, but end of the day, he's been playing in a Titan side that hasn't necessarily been the best, and I'm not sure if he's an Origin caliber player yet, but they've kind of been forced into it. And Xavier Coates is definitely someone I wouldn't really say he's an Origin caliber player. I think it's kind of the fact that they've sort of just ran out of players. I mean, Valentine Holmes probably injured, Kyle Feld, probably Corey Oates hasn't been in great form this year. They've kind of just been trying to find anybody who can actually play. Anybody who's in first grade at the moment was a shot for Queensland in the backs, which is dire straits for Queensland, considering the backs they've had over the years. Some of the players, like, it was at the point where I wouldn't have even been surprised if Darius Boyd got picked due to experience, and he's been there before just because of how many injuries they had, which really it says a lot about the Queensland side at the moment. However, this is State of Origin, and we all know that even some of the worst New South Wales sides did compete against Queensland. I think the difference is those sides were built to be like a tough, gritty style of side, where I don't feel like this team is for Queensland. I feel like they've gone for youth, they've gone for speed, they've gone for like a great attacking sort of side, haven't worried about defence too much, and I think that will be the downfall of them. I feel like New South Wales won't run over them in the forwards. I think it will definitely be a tight match with the forwards, especially Josh Papali being there. He's massive, especially in Origin. Like, I remember years back, I always used to say Josh Papali, he was always like the Origin forward. He epitomised, like we talked about a lot of people who stood up in Origin time, but Josh Papali was definitely that. Now he's been able to translate that to the Raiders and perform game in, game out, which is dangerous for oppositions everywhere. But in terms of Origin, we all know he's capable. We see it every week now for the Raiders. So he's definitely a must-have for Queensland. Best prop in the world, I'd probably say. And then you add in that Christian Welch just come off a premiership. He's very consistent, good forward. Jake Friend, he's been around for a long time. He can do the job. The four packers, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Even Cohen Hess, I think they'll be fine. They might get exposed a bit in the back row with Boyd Cordner, Tyson Frizzell, even got Jake Trbojevic, Tino. I don't know how many minutes he's played maximum. He always sort of, to me, has been sort of like a bench forward for the Storm. We've always had Finucane and a Asafa Solomon ahead of him. Now he's jumped into this Queensland side starting at lock, which once again kind of talks about the depth of Queensland, that you got a guy who's like a third string lock for the Storm is now the starting lock for Queensland, which I know he definitely has a lot of potential. He's definitely shown a lot this season for the Storm, but that's just, I'm kind of putting this into perspective. Also, you add in, you also had Brandon Smith, so maybe he's like a fourth string lock at this stage. But yeah, where I think it's going to be lost, I think it's going to be the backs. I think the halves can definitely hang with New South Wales, if not better than New South Wales. Cherry Evans, Munster, we've seen them doing it in Origin Arena before. We've seen them doing it in the NRL before. We've seen them doing it on the big stage, grand finals, you name it. Kieran Munster just coming off a grand final win. But in terms of the rest of the side, I just can't see them doing bits. New South Wales, they just got too strong of a back line. Addo Carr, too much pace. Then you've got Tupou, especially what I think is going to be a big thing is the starts to the sets. We've seen it in the NRL. The big sort of wingers, not even big wingers, Josh Acar's not big, but you can get a quick play of the ball, make a lot of meters. He's fast enough to sort of make those meters before the opposition even gets to you from a kick return. I think that's where New South Wales will really take advantage. Especially Tedesco as well. He's probably the best at it. In terms of fullbacks, I can't really think of anyone better. Maybe Tuivasa-Sheck or someone. But yeah, Brimson, he's not really known for his massive kick returns, his big powerful runs. I can see him sort of getting picked up and driven back quite a bit. Especially in the Origin Arena, everyone's super revved up and they're going to be going for it right from minute one. So yeah, this could go a couple ways, but for me, I can see it going all New South Wales ways. I think New South Wales will win this one 13 plus. I'm not sure of an exact scoreline. I can see it being tight at the start just because of how tense it is, and especially because people have been off for a while and haven't been playing regular footy. But I can see as the game goes on, New South Wales will get more comfortable, and I think they'll run away with it. I mean, I can even see like Queensland scoring the first try and sort of getting into the game and being a chance. But I can just see New South Wales taking over and sort of winning game one, especially game one. Maybe game two will be a bit more tense. Queensland got a bit more experience, but just for game one, I feel like New South Wales, speaking of experience, have way too much experience for Queensland at this stage, especially in key positions. And look, Boyd Cordner, he's there. He's led them to victory a couple times now. I think he's going to do it again. I'm expecting, like I said, New South Wales to win this one. 13 plus, first try scorer. I'll go with Daniel Tupou. Fantastic season for the Roosters, and I think he's going to have a great Origin series. It's kind of nice to see him back in the Origin arena, considering I don't even really think he did too much to be dropped the first time, and then have such a big weight in the middle there. Look, Ferguson, he was very, very good for New South Wales, but just hasn't been there for the Eels as of late. So Tupou, well-deserved entry back into the Origin arena. So I'm interested to see how he goes. But first try scorer, Daniel Tupou, you heard it here first. In terms of man of the match, I'll go with Luke Keary. I think Luke Keary, there's all the expectations of him coming in, making his debut, but we've seen him step up on big occasions, especially in the absence of Cooper Cronk in that grand final. Just his whole attitude of, I don't care if Cooper Cronk's there, we're going to win, and saying it in front of everyone too, not just a thing where he's come out afterwards and been like, I didn't really care. Like, he was actually saying it openly to the media, to the players, that they were still going to win, and he did it. He just got like a great attitude towards football and towards Origin, I think. And I can see him getting man of the match. In terms of the most influential, I feel like a guy like Payne Haas can have a big influence on the game. Coming off the bench, I think he started in the games he played last year. Look, him coming off the bench, he's just going to be able to run riot. Like, He's used to playing 80 minutes at the Broncos. I think he's going to be playing 60 next year, but he can play the 80. So if you chuck him in 40 minutes, hopefully he doesn't come on and try and do like too much and sort of just ruin it and sort of get burnt out very, very quickly. But I can see him coming on and just having a field day against some tired Maroons forwards, especially if he's not up against guys like Papali and that. If he's up against a guy like Lindsay Collins and those sort of guys, although they've had a pretty good season, he's just another level paying halves. He's probably one of the better props in the game overall, let alone against some of these guys. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how this game goes. Like I said, New South Wales 13 plus. Leave in the comment section below, who do you think is going to win the game? What sort of scoreline is it going to be? 1 to 12, 13 plus. Who's going to get first try scorer and who's going to get man of the match? Anyway guys, if you did happen to enjoy this little preview, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also make sure to follow me on all social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT for the most part. It is just Mr. Luke for my Facebook. And also my Snapchat is also the same as what's everyone else here is Mr. Luke on YT. Anyway guys, that's how I'm going to wrap up the video. Hopefully Origin is a good one. Hopefully it's not a bit of a letdown, especially considering what's happening in the world. We could do with some State of Origin. So I'm excited. Hopefully you are. Let's go New South Wales. Bye guys.